Welcome back. If you're diving into the world of container orchestration and AKS, it's important to understand some key terminologies such as node, pod, cluster, namespace, and others. Without any further ado, let's kick off our exploration of some of these important AKS terminologies. Let's begin with Kubernetes. Imagine you have a bunch of computer programs that need to run and work together to make a website. Kubernetes can serve like the manager for these different programs. It helps you keep these programs organized and also helps with how they communicate with each other. So Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration platform that helps to automate the deployment, scaling, and management of your containerized applications. Next is a cluster. A cluster is a group of nodes, that is, group of virtual machines that work together to run your containerized applications. The analogy that I can use here is if you're building a team of people to work on the project. Each person will have their own skills and they will need a workspace to work together. So in AKS, the cluster serves that purpose. It acts like a special workspace for your computer programs. So it's a collection of computers similar to a team of workers that are all connected and working together. The cluster provides the necessary resources to host your applications in a small box called containers. These containers, on the other hand, hold all the pieces that your application needs to work correctly. Things like code, settings, and libraries. We also have node. A node is a virtual machine that runs containers. It's a part of the AKS cluster and it provides the computational resources needed to execute your applications. The node provides resources such as the CPU and the memory that is needed to execute your applications. Next on the list, we have pod. A pod is the smallest deployable unit in Kubernetes, and it represents what holds your application's ingredients. You can imagine it like your lunchbox, which is where you pack things like, your meal, drinks, snacks, if you will. The lunchbox in this example is your pod. So the pod holds all the things that your application needs, things like the code, the files, and the settings. AKS pod keep your application tidy and efficient, making sure that it is ready to serve you. Next, we have service. A service is a Kubernetes resource that enables communication between different pods or external clients. It provides a stable and unique address that allows other services and users to find and connect to your applications. Another important terminology of note is a namespace. A namespace is a way to create an isolated environment within a cluster. It helps organize and segment different resources, making it easier for you to manage applications with different purposes. It's similar to having a big bookshelf with many shelves. Each shelf is a namespace, and you can place different books in each shelf. In this case, you can place different applications in each namespace. Next, we have load balancer. A load balancer is a service that distributes incoming traffic across multiple pods. It ensures that your application remains available and responsive. For example, when a lot of people want to access your application, the load balancer makes sure that no single server gets overwhelmed. So it helps to spread the incoming requests across the multiple servers that you have. Another one is Ingress. Ingress is a Kubernetes resource that helps to manage external access to services within the cluster. It acts as the gateway that allows external users to access your application inside the AKS cluster. So when someone wants to use your application from the outside, the Ingress directs their request to the correct pod inside the cluster. Next, we have Helm. Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes that simplifies the deployment and the management of applications and services using pre-configured charts. They help you encapsulate all the required settings and configuration, making your deployment a piece of cake. And lastly, we have the container registry. The container registry is a repository that stores Docker container images used in your AKS cluster. See it like the storage room that houses all your application containers. All right, those are some important terminologies that you will need to be familiar with about AKS. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next lesson.